Good morning, mob family. How is everyone? I hope everyone's doing well this morning, or evening, or afternoon, or wherever you may be. Let's see who comes and visits today with us. So far, Dolly has joined.
It takes a few moments.
It takes a little while, yeah, because people have to kind of know that I'm here, lurking in the shadows. And these are the hello, Laurie. These are the few moments at the beginning of the show where I get to just lurk. Hello, Diane. Good morning. Morning, Alex. Morning, Yasmin. Congratulations on going home. Okay, hopefully everything's okay and your health is much better now. So this is our podcast. I don't even know what number we're up to. I think we're up to number 11. I think this is number 11. I'll have to keep track of this. I know we number them on the YouTube channel just to have the information for Chris. If you've seen our YouTube channel, you can thank Chris Crispin for the awesome work that's going on there. And I think he put on some samples. He put a sample up of the Tombstones and Butterflies audio book on the YouTube channel. So go take a look at that. Good morning, John. I leave in a couple of days. Yeah, I leave on Monday morning to Vegas for a week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Good. I want to say afternoon, Malcolm, because you're in the UK. Rihanna, good morning. Every time I say your name, Rihanna, I think Stevie Nicks. Sorry, Fleetwood Mac. Old. Yasmin, that's great to hear. And yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're home and okay and resting and recovering. It's very good. I'm in kind of the same place with the arm recovering. Rebecca, good morning. I raised my stein, Rebecca. Hello, Laura. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Jenny. So let me do the quick shout outs. Shout outs to the family. So all my tribe, the little ones and the big ones, and especially the ones who like to hear their names, Ray, Ava, and Z. So good morning. You'll see this in the future and go, wow, he mentioned my name. And shout out to the entire Mob family. So thank you for being here and joining me and spending some time and talking with me. Some quick announcements. John Logson has unleashed his new book, Uncherished, I believe it is. It's a new Sinister book, book 4 of this series, which is doing really well. So please do him a favor and pick up that copy. It's doing fantastic. So pick up the copy and leave him a review if you can, okay? Let's see who else is here. Afternoon, Barbara. Linda, good morning. Scott, good morning. Happy Friday, Rebecca. It is Friday. It's a good thing. Yes. Let's see what else. So I already mentioned I'll be in Vegas next week for about a whole week. Yeah, from the 11th to the 15th, 16th. So that'll be fun. And while I'm there, I'll be doing a lot of book-related stuff. I'm at 20 Books Vegas, so it's not fun. I don't gamble. Well, I say I don't gamble, and John always laughs because we're independent publishers, and that's like a gamble every day. But I don't gamble at casinos, put it that way. But I'll be meeting a lot of readers and a lot of other authors who also are independent authors. Hello, Elaine. Good morning. Crispin, good morning. So when you get to our YouTube channel and see the awesome stuff that's there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because that way we can grow the exposure we have on a much larger base. It's worldwide. YouTube is worldwide, as you know. And so please share the channel as much as you can. Like, subscribe, and share, please. And Chris is here. Yes, you are. So Laura, I'll answer your question in a moment because I'm remembering Chris's question, which was, what do I drink besides coffee? Is there anything to drink besides coffee? Really, Chris? No, water. I'll drink water. I used to drink a lot of orange juice, but it was just too much sugar. And my wife was looking at me like, you're drinking too much sugar. So I kind of stopped drinking. We used to get gallons of orange juice at Costco. I remember those days, like 4 gallons. Even if it was organic orange juice, it was natural, it was fresh squeezed, it was still a lot of sugar. So I slowly stepped away from all that orange juice and moved to water. So if I'm not drinking coffee, I'm drinking water, or my wife makes some great, she makes, this is lemon water. So just unsweetened. She just takes lemons and squeezes it in the water, and lemon water is very good for you. So I'll drink that. If I'm not drinking coffee, I'll drink that variation of water or just water. Now, Laura's question, how do I switch gears from one book to another? It's interesting. I'm not, and I know I've mentioned this before. The books in my head are kind of separated in their own little spaces. So it's basically going from one space to the next. And especially with the series, it's really just going to the last story and kind of picking up the thread. And even though I kind of know, because a lot of the stories are already outlined, I kind of know where they're going. When I read the previous book, it really refreshes it for me. And then I can go into the next story. And then going from one series to the next, it's pretty easy. The characters are really different. So yeah, it's not that hard. Practice, I would say. Practice. I'm inspired by Isaac Asimov, who used to write multiple, he used to have multiple typewriters around his house with stories at different stages. And when he would get tired of one story, or let's say bored or stuck, he would go from one typewriter to the next typewriter and just type the other story. So that's my inspiration for that kind of mindset, writing different stories at once. Dolly, thank you for putting up the YouTube link so you guys can see what Bitten Peaches Publishing, Bitten Peaches Publishing, is. It's up on YouTube. Let's see. John's gonna be making daily trips to Anytime Fitness for your workouts. Yeah. I'm not going to the gym. I'm recovering. So elbow. Kind of need this arm to lift. So I'm recovering while I'm at Vegas. But have fun. Do some extra sets and reps for me, John. Yes. What are you gonna do for workouts when I'm there? I have a lot of martial arts workouts that don't require load-bearing weights. So I'll do a lot of stretching. I can do one-arm push-ups. I can do crunches. I can do body squats, kicking, kata. I can do a lot of that stuff, even with one arm. It doesn't require me lifting heavy weights. So I'll do that. A lot of sitting, meditating. I'll wake up nice and early, catch the sunrise. Good morning, Elizabeth. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. Stacy, hello. Good morning. Morning, Mark. Actually, good afternoon, Mark. Yeah, we can start the party now that you're here, Mark. Yes, we were all here just waiting for you. It's amazing, huh? Yeah, same here, Chris. I realize at some point it's gonna only just be water, so I figure I might as well get started early. So water or coffee, that's pretty much it. And the more coffee I drink, the more water I have to drink because coffee's a diuretic. So I try to always make the ratio 2-to-1 if possible, if not more. Stacy asks, does Miss Dolly get to go to Vegas too? Not this year. Hopefully next year. We just got to figure out a way to situate the little ones who, we're talking, 13, 11, and 8. So we can't take them out of school to go to Vegas. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem with it. The school might, though. Hello, Davina. Welcome. Hello, Jane. Oh, Jane, I hope you're okay in the hospital. And thank you for joining us. Let's see. Elizabeth asks, do you ever have a story or character that goes in a different direction than you intended? All the time. I have outlines, but my outlines are not rigid. They're kind of like frameworks. So it gives me room to let the characters kind of do what they want to do. And so in the sense of following different tangents, it happens a lot. And sometimes I'll be surprised, like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, So, yeah. So all the time, Elizabeth. But the outline allows me to go off on a tangent and come back to the framework of the story. So it has room to let the story breathe, but it also has a constraint to give parameters so I don't just go off onto these different tangents and never get the story written, because then you wouldn't get any books. I'll just be writing story after story after story in different directions, and the story would never get done. Hello, Audrey. Welcome. Let's see. Not this time. Apparently, yeah. Dolly says, Not this time. Apparently, the schooling and the CPS system don't look well for parents having their kids skip school and or absent parents. Yeah, maybe in the future we'll have to take them. I think the venue is going to change next year because 20 Books to Vegas is growing, and so I don't think we'll fit in Sam's Town next year. So it's a new venue. It's still kind of secretive. So when they let us know, that might change the date more or less. I think it's still going to be in November because it works, and then we'll see what we can do about um, having the kids. My sister would love to take the kids. She can always have them for a week, and then I'll come up here for a week and stay with them while we go to Vegas. So we can do that too. Yeah, so Malcolm asks, do you ever have to stop writing one book because another's horning in, demanding attention? That's how you got Monty and Strong. Much to the consternation and distress of the Sepia Blue readers, I was in the middle of the Sepia Blue series. I had just finished book 3 of Sepia Blue and had the idea for Monty and Strong. And here we are. I think I answered one reader. Here we are 9 books later, and 4 short stories, and another series, another 2 books in another series later in Monty and Strong, and still going. So it does happen, yeah. So Carol says hello from a very wet UK. Isn't that the norm, Carol? When I was in London, I think it rained almost every day. So welcome, Mel. How are you? Let's see. Dolly says there was a time when they went in elementary school, we were more lax and we'd pull them out for the day and go museum in New York City hopping. We used to do that with the kids. Just take them out. No school today. Let's go to the city and let's go look at museums. Schools don't like that too much. Yeah. Stacy, those are easier times when you get to stay home and you just need a note from your parents. See, Jenny says, aunties love a chance to spoil their siblings' kids, Ryan, and then return them. Yes, and my sister would do that completely. That's the worry, that she would do that. All right, so let me give you guys some status updates on what's happening and what I'm in the middle of. So the Golem, or Golem, if you want to pronounce it correctly, is started. I'm still doing research because there's a lot of that goes into the background of golems and the why of it. There's a lot of I don't want to see what's Jewish history. The golem is a mythological figure, so like a lot of mythological figures, there's a lot of background information into them. So I have to do a lot of reading. It was very much like Sheepdog or Reaping Wind or any of these books that I write, but especially from Monty and Strong, there's a lot of background research. So that's being started. I don't know how much writing I'm going to get done next week, honestly, because I'm in Vegas and there are a lot of conferences to go to. But I have my phone. I do a lot of writing on my phone or snippets, ideas, and also I'll make sure to keep that handy and try and get some writing done that way. So that's being done. And then Dragon's Impasse also has begun. I don't give snippets on books that I collaborate on because I'm playing in John's sandbox. So if he wants to share a snippet, he can. But we have a very different way of doing things. So the book will get sent to his art teams, and they'll get to look at it, and it's a different process. So I don't share snippets on the books that I'm collaborating on. But I started. It's turning out really good. And again, same thing. I don't think I'll get much writing done next week on Dragon's Impasse. But that just means that the Fast and Furious pace will have to be, as soon as I get back, I'll just dive into both those books. So I'll do that. Let's see who else is here. Who else has come? Yeah. Yes, Chris Chrisman. That's a trick that we all learn. Is how Chris says, first thing I learned as a kid is how to raise my body temperature to show a fever. That's an important skill. So, bye, Rebecca. Are you leaving? It looks like ta-ta for now. Bye, Rebecca. Audrey asks, how many books in the Aftermath arc? Minimum is a trilogy. But because Aftermath is set in the MS world, it can go in sets of trilogies. So minimum is 3, because I like to think in 3s. Good things and bad things come in 3s. And so 3, and then if those 3 are doing well, then another 3. The second book in Aftermath is called Hammered, which is going to be a lot of fun. And the third book is called Gremmel. I already have the covers being made. So that'll be awesome. So right now 3, Audrey. And there's going to be a lot of overlap and interweaving with Monty and Strong. They'll be making some cameos, probably for Gremmel, which is the 3rd book. Malcolm Robertson, Malcolm says a lot of Kabbalah. Yes, Kabbalah is very deep. It's interesting, and it's very complicated. I've read so much on the Kabbalah. I had already been interested in it, but because the map, I'll show you the map for Aftermath, looks like this. So this is the map. This is part of the map of New York City. And if you look at that, that's the Kabbalah's Tree of Life, one superimposed on the other. And those would be where the nexus points are. So it's a lot of work and finding those locations and kind of, making it work within the story. So yeah. Yes, Stacy, that too. Hello, Carolyn, welcome. 3, as Laura and Chris say, 3 is a magic number. It's actually very important in what you would call numerology and just in general. A lot of things come in 3s. And I just had this conversation recently with my youngest daughter who's doing her 9 times table. And I always call 9 a magic number because of the products. So like 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, which adds up to 9. 9 times 3 is 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. And her eyes are like, whoa. So it only works with 9. But it's pretty amazing. So 9 is a really interesting number. So numbers figure a lot in the MS world. If you pay attention, you'll see that they're there. Let's see. Jenny says, that never worked for me. My aunt was a nurse and my mom was not amused. Depends on the mom you had, Jenny. I apologize. I'm sorry. So let's see. So yes, 3s, 9s, 6. Products of 3, you'll see a lot of that. But in terms of books, readers like trilogies. I've seen a lot of duologies, which is 2 books, but for me, it always felt a little short. Like finishing a story in 2 books is like, it feels like something's missing. So I think our brains have a way of thinking in 3s. Like even when you write, as a reader, you like to have a 1st act, a 2nd act, and a 3rd act. It's the way our brains naturally see a story. So you have the 1st act, which is the opening, the 2nd act, which is sometimes divided in 2. So it's the 2nd act is sometimes split in 2, but it's still part of the 2nd act. And then the 3rd act, which is the resolution. And so we kind of have a tendency to think in 3s. And you think of everything, are grouped in 3s, body, mind, spirit, things like that. They're all grouped in 3s. There you go. See, like Jenny says, what you put out, you receive times 3. So there's a lot of things of 3s in culture. Good morning, Lena. Welcome. Or good afternoon, wherever you are. Hello and welcome. So any questions about Aftermath? By the way, don't forget, I know I put a post up on the mob, leave your reviews. I know I nudge you and I know life happens, but don't forget to leave your reviews. It helps the book and people see that as social proof and then they'll share with other people and then the book will do even better and so forth and so on. So please leave your reviews. Same thing like when you pick up John's book for Sinister, the newest one, which is Uncherished. Get it, read it, and leave a review. The important thing is to leave that review, as well as buying it, obviously. But the review helps. I know people say it doesn't really help. It does. It does help. Because if you look at how you shop or how you get things, you look at the reviews for the social proof. If the book is horrible and you see the reviews, and again, that's subjective, obviously. But you see the reviews and it has 500 one-star reviews, you might hesitate. So, yeah. Same thing, Davina. Yes, beginning, middle, and end. That's the way our brains work, and that's the way they work for stories. One author recently I read, who I will not mention the person's name, wrote a book recently. It was a beginning and a middle, and they ended the book right there as a cliffhanger, and upset a lot of people because people felt cheated. It was deliberately done so that the person would buy the next book. But you can't write stories that way, even when you're a successful author, because it just angers readers. They feel cheated. Like I know, and I'm sure you guys do this too, when you're nearing the end of a book, you start looking to see how much book is left to see if there's enough time to resolve the situation that's happening in the book now. So you start saying, wait, there's only 20 pages left. There's no way he's gonna wrap this up in 20 pages. And so readers think that way. We all think that way. Even when we're watching Supernatural, I'll I'll hit the control to see how much of the show is left, so I know, oh, it's time for like 3 more victims. Okay, or so I'll know. But you also know if it's going to be a cliffhanger, because if you're near the end of a book and the main situation hasn't been resolved, it's going to be a cliffhanger. And you, depending on how you feel about cliffhangers, I think I did that with book 3. I want to say book 3, Blood Sticker. I know I did it with one book, and it didn't go over too well. Yeah, I blew up the goat. First, I blew up the goat, and it ended with the goat getting melted, and kind of a cliffhanger, and that didn't go over too well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Blood Sticker. Okay, Davina asks, is the Morn connected to the Mage Killer, or is that classified? That's classified. Sorry, Davina. If I tell you Division 13 will be knocking on your door in about 13 seconds. So yeah, it's all connected. This is our new mantra, according to Chris. Everything is connected. So if it's in the MNS world, it's all connected. Elizabeth Meyer says it does. You build expectation of a third book, plus it's that whole in trouble with your parents. So 1, 2, 3, and then 3 was the end. You were done, right? Or usually 3, 2, 1 also. Jenny says, I generally read the best review and the worst review to help make up my mind. Yeah. Sometimes the best review is written by your mom, so you've got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. And the worst review, I've had some 1-star reviews, depends. I don't really read I learned early on not to read reviews below 4 reviews unless there are a lot of 3, 2, and 1s. Then it's usually there's a problem in the story. But if it's 1, I'll read it and see if the person is making a valid point, because I'll read it. But if it's not, then I just realize the story, they're not my reader. The story wasn't for them. And so I don't take it personally. Once the book is out there, I don't take it personally, because it's your experience with the book. You may like it, you may hate it. I understand that, and everyone has their opinion and their experience of the book. But I don't take reviews personally. You can't. You have to have rhino skin as an author. So yeah, I never take reviews personally. Let's see. Stacy said, I will stop reading authors because of cliffhangers. Stacy, you're not alone. A lot of readers will stop reading authors because of cliffhangers, because it feels like a manipulation. I learned after Blood Sticker not to do that again. So I try to resolve stories. The main problem or the main conflict of the story, I'll try to resolve it within that book. But at the same time, I'll leave threads that can carry on through many books. But I'll try to resolve the main situation. Like in this book, The Golem, there's a golem, and they have to deal with that. But then there's something behind the golem, like who created the golem? Why was a golem created? And things like that. So there's longer threads and there's shorter threads. So, let me fix this camera, because I'm messing around, technical difficulties, guys. Oh, here we go. Much better. I apologize. Okay, so yeah, so cliffhangers, they can work, but I'd rather, my version of cliffhangers is giving you snippets, which is almost like trailers. I always think of snippets as movie trailers. So a movie trailer kind of gets you hooked, but doesn't give away the story too much. So you kind of like, I want to get that, but without spoiling it for you, which is why my snippets don't go so far into the book, because I don't want to spoil it for you either. What does Davina say? I do that to judge who the killer is. Like, it can't be the current suspect. There's still 20 minutes to fill. Exactly. I do the same thing. Say that can't be it, because it's like half an episode or half a book left. This can't be it. This is definitely a misdirection. And then Davina says, unless you're a musician, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Yes, but that's music notation, music rhythm, right? Chris says, always leave a teaser, readers wanting more. I do that. Like in the last book with Monty Strong, Reaping Wind, I made that reference to Sid Rat, but they were on their way to see Ezra. I had to kind of do a little bit of weaving there, because there was also The Perfect Cup was in there. And so I kind of had to, The Perfect Cup is going to happen in its own kind of space between Reaping Wind and the next book, The Golem. But it's not a direct connection to the event of The Golem. So The Perfect Cup, like most of the short stories, they kind of stand alone. They make references to the main stories, but they stand on their own. Let's see. Threads are okay. Yes. Yeah, cliffhanger and threads are two very different things, Stacy. You're right. Audrey says good book series are like life. You may resolve the current issue, but there is so much more. And you are correct. Life is like that. Things happen. You deal with what's happening right now, but there are other things to deal with. So you take care of it. Hello, TJ. Good morning. Welcome. Exactly, Chris. Tangent trails. And sometimes they run parallel and sometimes they run perpendicular. So you have to kind of be aware of that as a writer. When they run parallel, you can create short stories that kind of align with the main trunk, the main story series. But when they run tangent and you want to go in a different direction, you have to create a whole different series. And that's what I did with, let's say, Gray. Rather than bringing Gray and Coda into the Monty and Strong series, I gave him his own series because he's going perpendicular, even though he's aligned to Monty and Strong. He goes his own way. He does his own thing, and so I can't just insert him into the Monty Strong world in their books. He needs his own books because he has his own situation to deal with. Stacy says Ezra has to be the best character ever. So clever. Ezra is my homage to Terry Pratchett's Mort. Ezra is just amazing. And when I was growing up, and I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends, we had Ezras. They were like the older Jewish men who would sit in diners and they would talk, or is it the kvetch all day, and they'd be discussing different things, and you don't know what you're talking about. Come here. And it was like, or when I was really young, I remember going with my parents to Orchard Street. It's very different now. But when I was younger, I mean, I'm talking, my dad was alive, so I had to be 6 or 7. We'd go to Orchard Street, and it was now it's very different, but it used to be predominantly Jewish, that area, that neighborhood. And we'd go buy winter clothes because right before winter would start, so it was the best place to get like winter clothes. But you had to haggle. So I remember my dad having these haggling sessions with these old Jewish men who looked very much like Ezra, kind of rotund, yarmulkes, black vest over white shirt. And they said, no, you can't go across. Go, I got the best deal for you. This is what you want. You don't need that. You need this. And it was a whole session. So those memories stay with me. And so Ezra is an amazing character. And once I read Mort from Terry Pratchett, I think it was perfect to make Ezra a scholarly personification of death. That's fantastic. So yeah. Davina, go do parenting. That's like the most important thing. See you later. Thank you for visiting. Elizabeth wants to know, how do you keep up with all the threads and connections? I've cloned myself using Ziller's properties of quantum separation. So one part of me just stays with all the information and another part of me writes. That's how I do it, Elizabeth. No, I use a notebook, basically, and I use notes to keep all these things straight. And a lot of it's in my head. So welcome, Nick. Good morning. Laura wants to know, will the crew and Aftermath stay together if there's another? There are 2 more books slated, Laura, and the crew and Aftermath has to stay together. They're nulls. They're basically, I want to say they're the outliers or the outcasts, and so they have really nowhere else to go. They're the ones that have to deal with the mourn, and so they have to stay together, and they're family, so they stick together. If you notice in my books, in the M&S world, family is a big theme. So it's little pockets of family that work together to face against scary and insurmountable odds. Yes, Jenny, series of books remind me of CBT counseling, deal with the now, then the later. And you have to be present, deal with the now. So yes. TJ asks, do you have the free writing? Do you do the free writing and go back and structure and clear up later, or do you try and construct? I always construct as I go. That's why my art is awesome. So I don't do free writing. As I'm writing, I know what I'm writing. I'm writing the story, and what I go back and fix are, because I'm writing fast, I'll miss words here. I might miss a comma. I've heard it's been known to happen, an apostrophe, things like that, you know. So, but I'll write the story. I don't have to go back and reconstruct the story. I'll fill it in. John, thank you for coming. If you can come back, please do. If not, it was great having you here. Hello, Shannon. Welcome. Good morning. TJ, the only time I do that is when I'm collaborating, like with John. I'll write chapters, and then I'll give it to John, and John will flesh it out. And so that's a little different process, whereas the story's being formed in tandem as we're writing it. And then he'll send me back the chapters, and I'll look them over, and I might tweak something or remove something, and then I send them back to him, and then he releases it to an advanced reader team. But that's the only time I'll do that, where I'm writing and correcting or adding, because I'm collaborating with someone else. But if it's my books, I'll write the story and then go back, and what's touched upon is the grammatical things like commas, apostrophes, paragraph breaks, things like that. Ariel wants to know, are there going to be more stories with the dogs? If you mean the dogs and you mean Peaches and Rags, yes, there's 3 stories. It's, again, another trilogy. So Hellhound Blues was the first one. The second one is called Brew and Chew, and the third one is called Cold Girl, which is the cover for Cold Girl. Blew me away. All the DDD covers blow me away, but that one really blew me away. Stacy Stein wants to know, how did I get the name for the Morn? Wow, that's a good one, Stacy. I was going to use the Grim because I wanted to get the feel of something dark and sad, but also dangerous. But I think the Grim has been taken, and it's been used a lot, and it's kind of cliche, the Grim. And the Morn kind of gives you more of a feeling of grief, and so I think the Morn was more appropriate. It took a while to get to that, but I want to think this is grief, it's sadness, and it's also, when you read the story of Aftermath, you realize who the siphons are, and it's more appropriate that it's called the Morn, because they make that transition from who they are to the siphon, and that's almost like a mourning, and so it fit better. Elizabeth wants to know, how many hours do I write a day? Well, Elizabeth, I operate on Ziller time, so my hours are stretched out, bifurcated, split, and they go into different sections. But I try to write, I want to say 4 hours a day. Depends on if I'm going to the gym that day or not. When I start, also there's a lot of stuff, like it's really quiet right now, but this is because kids are in school and things like that. So my days usually filled with activity. So I have to, my wife really helps with that, where I kind of have these blocks of time that I can write. And, she'll be like, okay, be quiet, your dad's writing, or things like that. Or she'll lock the room, close the door and shoo the kids. Or I'll just use a headset. I can write with chaos around me if I have a headset on and my music, then I don't hear anything. So I can do it that way too. But I want to say 4 hours is pretty good. Elizabeth. Yes, well, I thought that was a good dodging, Malcolm. I thought that was pretty good. Good morning, Dean. Welcome. I hope I said hello to Shannon. Shannon, good morning. In case I missed you. Yeah, I didn't want to give that one away because, Aftermath is a short story, and I really gave you guys a bunch of snippets for Aftermath. So, yeah, I want to tell. By now, if you haven't read Aftermath, you should, because what I'm trying to do with the M&S world is all the stories that run concurrently kind of touch on each other. So you should read Aftermath because it does impact other things that you're going to find out in the M&S world. And everything is connected, as Chris says. That's, like I said, that's the mantra. Everything is connected. Except for Sheepdog. Gideon is not part of the M&S world. Who else isn't part of the M&S world? I'm trying to think. Everyone else is probably Huracan is probably not in the M&S world, and who else would not be in the M&S world? There's another character that's coming up called Kin who won't be in the M&S world. He's in Huracan's world. When you meet him, that's going to be fun. But everyone else is pretty much in the M&S world. Yeah. Oh, well, no, I was going to say the designers, but you already met Sid Rat, so he's in the M&S world. Yeah, everything's pretty much connected. Sure. So, questions, guys? We have about 25 minutes. So before the weekend starts. Not 25 minutes before the weekend starts. 25 minutes to the end of our show. But today's Friday, so you start your weekend. Oh, well, Ariel, You don't need to read Aftermath to understand Reaping Wind, and you don't need to read Reaping Wind to understand Aftermath. The good thing about Reaping Wind, though, is that Ursula has a cameo in Reaping Wind, and she is the main character of Aftermath. So you kind of get an intro to her in Reaping Wind, and then you get to really see her in action in Aftermath. So it's pretty fun. And there's a I don't know if I should say it because there's a cameo coming up for a whole new series in the Golem, but I don't want to give away the name. You're gonna meet two characters in the Golem that will have their own series later on. Yeah, and it's fun. That's gonna be a completely fun series, but I can't spoil it yet. I'll let you meet them in snippets. That'll be fun that way. Yeah, that'll be the best way to do it. I'll tease you this way. Two characters in the Golem that will have their own series later on that you will meet in the Golem. How's that? There you go. Don't kill me. So Ariel says, "Oh, good. I like Ursula. Ursula's a lot of fun. Yeah, she's even more fun in Aftermath. She's totally badass." Chris says, "Everything is connected. I discovered I must be Buddhist." I don't know if you're Buddhist. I think everything is connected is a very profound truth. I don't think it requires a religion to come to that enlightenment, because you'll find that concept that everything is connected, that we're all one, that everything impacts everything, pretty much in every spiritual expression or religion. That's like a core thought. Please stop talking about pastrami sandwiches. Have you had a pastrami sandwich from Cat's Deli? Really? You have not had one until you have one from there. TJ wants to know, how do you go about your research? Internet, library? Do you have friends or people who are experts in different subjects? It depends on the book. For Mythos, I'll do the internet. I have a few books that are actual books that I'll read on the mythology of things. And I haven't been to the library in a long time. My wife goes there all the time with the kids, but I personally haven't been in a long time for research for a book. For other things, I have experts for like some of the stuff for sheepdog. My sister has a lot of experience in that kind of stuff. So, and I know other LEOs who lent me their expertise in weaponry and things like that. So I'll ask experts for specific things, but I don't know many experts in casting and runes and things like that, so I have to go to the internet for things like that. Sorry, Laura. Yes, it was a teaser. Ariel wants to know, how many series am I writing right now? Monty Strong, Night Warden, Brew and Chew, finishing Sepia Blue, Assassin's Apprentice, Blackjacks, The Broken Man, which you haven't met yet, The Designers, Rule of Council, Division 13, Clandestine Adventures of the 10, Gideon Shepherd Thrillers, Damned. I think that's all of them. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Hope you were keeping count, because I wasn't. I was just kind of giving you off the top of my head. Chris, it says it's scientific too. Yes, it is scientific too. I just read an article the other day, and I think I shared this with Ziller in an effort to try to melt his brain, but he already knew about it. How human beings are not really like our cells aren't really particles, they're waves. And since they're waves, which goes into quantum mechanics and quantum physics and things like that, but since they're waves, all waves are connected, which means that all humans are connected. And so I tried to melt Zillah's brain, but he already knew. But yeah, it's scientific. This has been proven. At the microscopic level, like way at the quantum level, you look down, energy can be a particle and a wave at the same time, and that's really can't be explained. But all the waves are connected, all the waves, which is why when you think about it, when you say, well, I got a bad feeling about that person, or that person makes me feel good, what you're picking up on is their energy waves. It's hard to explain, but this is what happens. It's like gut feeling, your intuition, things like that. Everything is connected. I hope I answered that question about how many series. I think that's all the series. I'll have to think. I'll have to see if that's all of them. Ariel says I had to go for pastrami the other day because of you. I'm glad I helped your dietary choice because pastrami is awesome. And yes, Audrey says cats ships. They do. They deliver. And if you want the best pastrami on the planet, get it from Katz's Deli. And if you ever come to New York, once we have our Peaches Con, I think Katz's Deli is going to have to be one of the stops for sure. Elizabeth, thank you for coming and joining us. I know your battery is dying. And thank you for asking questions and being part of this. And have a great day and a great weekend. Stacy Stein says, seriously, if that's in relation to Katz's, yes, seriously, they deliver. They deliver. I said sepia, Stacy, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said sepia blue. I'm trying to look. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's everyone. There are a lot of series, and most of them are connected. The only one that's not really connected. Oh, there's the Nixia White series that you haven't seen yet. Oh, and the Misadventures of Nana and Dex, which is coming up. So yeah, there's still a few out there. Division 13, I said. No M&S. M&S is the first one I said, Laura. Broken Man is a whole different series that comes out of the Assassin's Apprentice, Huracan. The designers is in the M&S world, but it deals with time travel. Oh yeah, geez. Ava James and Chronicles of the Modern Mystics. There's another series. And Blur, John Kane's series has to be done. So yeah, there's a few. The last one, which is the Montague School of Battle Magic, is another series. There's a few. So Jenny, oh hi Kat, welcome. So Jenny's asked, so we are just compressed energy, explains the universe unconscious. Yes, basically that's what it is, Jenny. You've distilled it to its essence. Yeah. Ariel says, Granny Weatherwax says quantum means really small. That's a good explanation of it. Quantum means really small. Hello, Mary Elaine, welcome. Mark says, if you ever come to New York, don't warn Orlando in advance. There's backstory to that. Every time Mark is visiting New York, I'm traveling or I'm doing something. I'm going somewhere else. So it's not that I'm avoiding Mark. It's just that our plans, things haven't aligned yet. We're not ready to meet each other apparently. So let's see. 15 series so far, yeah. So there you go. And most of them are connected into the Monty and Strong world or offshoots of the Monty and Strong world and have been caused by Monty and Strong. Yes, M&S goes without saying, Malcolm, for sure. So Mary Lane asks, so you're not sleeping for the foreseeable future? More or less. I don't do much sleep now, so a few hours less, it's okay. But basically, keeping all those together, what I'm trying to do is string them so that they all become part of the same world. There was a reader who was asking about that, and what I was trying to say is it's hard for you now as readers because a lot of these series are in the middle of being done. Like the people who started with the Spiritual Warriors. You know, when you read book 1, there are 5 books in that series, but you have book 1 and there's 4 more books to go. You don't know. Once the series is done, it's done. Monty and Strong, I don't know if it's ever going to be done, but there are other series, and so it's mid-series for a lot of these series. But once they're all done, and you find one book, you find this huge world to jump into. Like my wife had showed me recently this whole tapestry, this diagram of Terry Pratchett's books, and you start with one book, let's say The Color of Magic, but it's one book. It's the tip of the iceberg because once you read The Color of Magic, you start realizing, whoa, there's so many books. And I have a bookshelf full of just Terry Pratchett books. And that's kind of what I want to do, just have a whole world that's impacted and touched and related, all in Monty and Strong, but not just Monty and Strong. So there you go. Welcome, Sharon. Good morning. We have about 15 minutes, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. I have my timer. So don't forget. Let's see. Make sure I got on everything. The next Mob TV. I'm gonna try and do a Mob TV in Vegas. I don't know how awesome it's gonna be. I don't know how well we're gonna pull that off because I'm not using my computer. I'll be using my phone. But I'm gonna get together with Chris and talk to him and see how we can do it in Vegas and have maybe just have like a tour of what we're doing. You know, and hang out for an hour. Again, there's a lot of conferences going on, but I think by Friday there's not much happening, and I'm just hanging out. And so we can have a Mob TV event. I'm not promising it. I'm just gonna see if we could do it for the 15th, which would be awesome. So we could call it the Mob TV Live Vegas event. So it would be fantastic. Oh, let's see. Ariel says, sorry, I don't get to play Dungeons and Dragons any longer. RPGs are my favorite hobby. I don't get to play Dungeons and Dragons or any tabletop kind of RPG stuff, but I'll play Destiny, which is a video game, every so often with my sons, or The Last of Us 2 is coming out, which is kind of like an RPG. So I've kind of transitioned over to digital. Also because paper games, tabletop games, they require a lot more setup, and I don't have that kind of time to like get 5 people together, 6 people, 4 people, 3 people, coordinate schedules, sit down, create a dungeon, and you're talking about an investment of hours in some cases. So I don't have that kind of time to be playing tabletop games. If we're gonna get on the PS4, I just got to turn it on and play, and I'll play for an hour or 2, and I'm done. But I can't. My experience has been D&D and RPGs always take a long time to set up, get people ready, and then play, and that always ends up a few hours. You're talking a good 6 hours for a good campaign, and then wrap it up. So I'm sorry as well. When I was a lot younger, I used to play D&D every weekend, and so yeah. TJ asks, how is your arm? Is it affecting your typing? Leg press instead of squats. So arm is in a brace. Much better. Doesn't really affect typing too much. No, I don't do leg presses. I like being able to have the balance compromised if necessary. I'll just do body squats. I'll do body exercises. I won't do anything that's load bearing, just to give the arm a break and to not risk making it worse. And plus, I only really, when I go to the gym, I only do squats, deadlifts, overhead press, bench press, pull-ups. I don't do that many. I don't do that much variety. I use the rack and I use barbells. That's it. So I only do those exercises. So I'll do a squat, I'll do an overhead press, I'll do deadlifts, and then bench press alternating and pull-ups. And that's all I'll do. I don't need to do anything else. Plus I have martial arts exercises that I do as well. So like I can kick a tree and assault a tree, things like that. I have conditioning exercises that I can do. My body's really dense, so yeah. So I'll do things like that. But right now, I know when to listen to my body, and this is me having to listen to my body right now. Plus, I'm going to Vegas, and I'm not going to work out at Vegas. That's not going to happen. So yeah. But thank you for asking. The arm is much better. A few days ago, it was a lot worse. It was like, oh, I really couldn't even sleep. And now I almost have full range of motion. It's just, yeah, not complete, but almost full. So it's getting there, little by little. It hasn't stopped me from writing, but I've taken a little break, and I know I can still use my thumbs. So I'll be doing that for Vegas. I'll be putting ideas into the phone in Vegas because I do get ideas, and I use the notes function on my phone for that. So yeah. Yeah, I don't destroy the trees, Ariel. I just use them as training partners. So yeah. My son and I were just talking. Chris says my son and I were just talking about RPG. We turned to Crondor, played the game for weeks. It was based on books. Yeah. Turns out the books were based on the author's own and D&D campaigns. The closest I came to doing that on the PS4 was Skyrim, which if you haven't played Skyrim, that's basically Dungeons and Dragons on the PS4. It's phenomenal, and it looks incredible, and it's still fantastic. It's an older game, but it still looks fantastic, and it plays really well. And it's basically D&D on a console, and that's the last thing I played D&D type. Yeah. Malcolm, I'm glad you went to CrossFit. You still like, can you walk? I don't do CrossFit because that's not the kind, those aren't the kind of exercises I do, but I'm glad you went, and I'm glad that you're taking care of your body and doing CrossFit. I don't run anymore. I'll do rope work. I'll do jump rope, but I won't run because I like my knees. So, and I'm heavy to be running right now. When I was in college or in high school, I ran cross country, miles and miles and miles. That was a much younger, thinner version of me that did that. Now I'll just do rope work because I need it for fighting, which is different. So, but I'm glad you went to CrossFit, Malcolm. How are you liking it so far? Are you incapacitated? Can you not feel your legs, arms, body? So let me know. Malcolm says my body doesn't think of it as care just now. It is in the beginning. It's always painful. I'm sorry to tell you that. Yeah, but over time you'll get better and it'll get easier and you'll adapt. Good morning, Leslie. Welcome. How are you? So guys, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. Although I'm always accessible to you, but ask them. Questions about Aftermath, questions about the Golem, if I can answer them. I can't answer any questions about Dragons Impasse, sorry, except to tell you that it's the next Badlands PPD book. Let's see. Just to repeat, go to our YouTube channel, Ben Peaches Publishing, Storyteller. Chris has put up samples of Tomb Yards and Butterflies, audio samples, which is awesome. Oh, and on that note, the next audiobook should be worked on December, January of this year. Next year, we should be getting Blooded Sticker. So that's exciting. When you go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and share, please. That's awesome. It's important. So please do that. Don't forget to leave your reviews for Aftermath. Jenny Monks asks, does farm work count as working out? Yes, Jenny. If you do farm work, you don't need to go to a gym. You basically live in a gym every day. Every single day. Chris says, what if it hurts to get out of bed? You roll out then. Don't walk, don't step out, roll out. So, but that's called getting older. What can I tell you? Oh, yes. Malcolm says there's a spoiler. Dragons Impasse has a dragon in it. This is true. There's a dragon in Dragons Impasse. So that's the main spoiler I can give you. It'll be a lot of fun. Dragons Impasse is a bit different writing than what I usually do. Little more comedic writing, because that's kind of John's forte, his expertise, even though he does urban fantasy now. But he's anything in Dragons Impasse that's the funny part, it's probably mostly John. I'm a little more serious. What's the status of Peach's stuffed animal? Stacy asks. Well, Stacy, it's being worked on. Dean sent us some great, I don't know if Dean Floyd is still here. Dean sent us some great contacts. I've managed to secure a space for Peaches so my daughters don't attack him and take him. And my wife is currently going to be talking to the vendors so we can get some prototypes done and see where we can go from there. Because we already have one, we know what it should look like. So now we know what we can work with and what they can offer us. Yeah. Any holiday plans? Spending time with my family. I think my sister's visiting in about a week, and then just spending time with my family. Yeah, that's it. I don't really make extensive holiday plans, so we'll stay home and maybe we'll go to the city this year and go check out Rockefeller Center or something like that. Walk around, do that. I haven't done that since they were little, so I might do that this year. Chris says, listening to the audiobook to pull highlights. Yes, Kevin T. Collins is a fantastic narrator. So if you get to listen to the audiobook, if you haven't listened to the audiobooks, you should, because he's awesome. He makes those stories come to life. So yes, apparently somebody's calling. So let's see, Jenny, all is ruined. No, Jenny, all is not ruined. Don't worry. And why is he so different from the rest of the dragons in the world? Oh, Ariel, because Zeke Phoenix, I can tell you this. Zeke Phoenix is a dragon that was raised by Valkyries. That's all I can tell you. There's a lot more backstory to that. But I can say that he was raised by Valkyries, which makes him very different from the other dragons in that world. But you have to read Dragon's Plight, Dragon's Torment, Dragon's Plight, and now Dragon's Impasse is coming out. So that'll be out hopefully in a month, less than a month, depending on how the reader teams align and things like that. So you can get more about the history of Zeke, Ezekiah Phoenix. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes, and then we're wrapping it up. So questions, comments. Some of you might even be in Vegas that I'll see in Vegas, which would be awesome. You can find me. I'll be wearing one of these shirts probably. Look for the Bitten Peaches. If it doesn't say Bitten Peaches, you'll see the logo of peaches inside a book. Can't see if I can show it to you. It's weird in the camera. Everything's reversed. So you see peaches inside of kind of coming out of the book. So I have shirts like that. So you can find me easily in Vegas. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome, Chris. Yeah, Karma, Sunatra, and Fireballs. Yeah. I look forward to seeing a few you authors in Vegas. Here's the thing in Vegas, I'm usually in a conference. If I'm not in a conference, I'll be, because it's always, we walk around in a mob. So we walk around as, it's me, John, Ben, maybe Kimbra. It'll be a few of us. We walk around kind of together, and then other people come in. Rami will come in. So we usually walk around in a little gang. But there are things that are happening in the conference, and then there are things that are happening in the hallways between the conferences. And sometimes what's happening in the hallways is even more interesting than what's happening in the conferences. Not that the conferences are bad, but the hallway conversations or the dinner conversations, lunch conversations are these one-on-ones where you can get in depth with other authors and kind of get ideas or share ideas. And so if you're at Vegas, hunt me down. I'm hard to miss, and I'm usually in the middle of a group that's moving around like a bunch of crazy nomads. So hunt me down, and we can get together and talk, or coffee and have a conversation, or come to lunch with us, things like that. Special announcement in Vegas. I'll leave that to you, Chris. That's not me. That's not for me to announce. That's for you to announce. So if you want, yeah, there you go. Laura, you sure that's not you calling somebody? One of you guys is calling. Ariel says, you need more audiobooks out. I drive for a living, and that's what she said. Yes, Ariel, all the Monty and Strong books will be done in audio. It's just that Kevin T. Collins, as you've heard, is a fantastic narrator. And so his schedule, for me to get him was, I had to pull strings. And so it was tough to get him again. But now I've got him for all the Monty and Strong books. So we're just going to be hitting one after the other after the other. Also, the process takes a while. He has to do the book. I have to listen to the entire book, make sure there aren't any errors. Then I have to give it back to him. He has to kind of make it a little bit more professional. We give it to ACX. It takes them 2 weeks, and then it can be out for publishing or out for for consumption. People can buy it. So it takes a while. Audiobooks take a lot longer, but they're worth it. I definitely will, Malcolm. Thank you. Malcolm says to enjoy Vegas. Mary Lynn calls me a giant tease, which I am. Yes, I've embraced that from my time as a snippet author. Welcome, Jethro. I will have a great time. Jenny, most of it will be spent resting because those days are long, and I don't want to get con crud, what they call con crud, where you get sick after a conference. So I definitely do not want that. So I'll be taking a lot of time just to rest, and maybe that downtime is when I'll do some snippets and write, Malcolm says, I can't believe how fast these hours go. Neither can I. We have a minute and a half left, and it just, the hour flew by, literally. Let's see. Yeah, Jethro says he loves Kevin's version. Kevin is fantastic. It's if you listen to the audiobooks, you'll fall in love with Kevin's reading because he's really good at this stuff. And he's in New York. So I'm going to get to see if we can get together. Maybe I can treat him to dinner, take him to Peter Luger's. That'd be pretty cool. There's a nice restaurant out here that specializes in steak. So, Yasmin, thank you for the wonderful wishes of the weekend. I'm glad to hear that you're home. Keep up with your recovery, and get better, because that's awesome. Zinc lozenges. Thank you, Audrey. I will pick up a few before I go, just as a buffer against all the germs that may be there. Mary Elaine, thank you. Yes, everyone, please have a great weekend, because Yeah, why wouldn't you? Do your best. And every day is awesome. Every day is a gift. So have a great weekend. We have less than a minute. So I want to tell you guys, thank you for being here today. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll be communicating with you probably over this weekend because I'm going to be gone next week. And I'll try to have a mob event. Oh, that's it. I'll try to have a mob event next week, Friday, so we can kind of have a moment in Vegas. That would be awesome. And be excellent to each other. Have a great day and a great weekend.